Lacrimophobia is the fear of crying that can stem from a variety of underlying reasoning, all primarily cultural or psychological. Phobias are a funny thing, because most people associate phobia to fear as the feeling of terror or horror, but a lot of times it's just the urge against, or simply not wanting to. While I'm sure there are people with genuine fear of crying, I'm assuming those who don't choose not to, simply because they don't want to. Last time I cried was about 2.5 years ago, and the time before that about a year prior. Some things, like crying, just feel unnatural. But what does feel natural, or at least what became natural that time prior, is driving. It was that 3.5 years ago now that for the first time I walked briskly through the cooling night, stepped into my room, allowed an appropriate amount of water to collect in my sleeplessly deepening eyes, and I clenched my teeth, letting the empty space in my nostrils burn any residual moisture dry. After a moment of sitting in a room I didn't want to be in a campus I loathed, and in a town I couldn't stand anymore, I haphazardly stuffed a camera, some sweats, an extra hoodie, and 2 or 3 shirts into a Carhartt duffel, ripped the dirty bronze zipper over the bunch, and snatched my keys off the counter on the way back through the door. Waiting for me an eighth of a mile's walk away was a worn khaki hat spraying Bill on the dash of a silver '08 4Runner, sitting unassumingly amidst 100 other cars with infinitely less personality. The bag, just slung below the semi-permanently half-open rear hatch window, pinned a yellow sleeping bag and green self-inflating pad to the interior of the rear end. My backpack and 2 rolls of film sat passenger. I pointed knowledgelessly northwest and drove for 10 hours. That night and following weekend is only an event in my mind because it was the first of what subsequently became routine. I found that you could just run. Every couple of weeks, I'd take the senior crowd to Knoxville. A year later, in that September, I kept on going and on to Nashville. A month later, with the 3 free days I had, I stopped twice for pizza in Manhattan on the way to and back from Maine, after spending a day with my best friend and his new wife in Boston and staying with them in Connecticut. A couple months later, I drove for 24 hours straight and kept the memory of 6 states to prove it. A few months following, for a little holdover, I drove 5,000 miles in 6 days to see 8 states in 2 nights of sleep. About a year after that, I drove almost 11,000 in 22 days to see 24 states and collect a couple notebooks worth of stories. 6 months of little 1,000-mile trips later, I took it for 6,000 miles out west to get it back. I've lived a lifetime's worth of life on the road, and even though my 4Runner didn't properly see all of it, it did see just about most. Truthfully, I'd always thought I'd go down with the ship, and dramatically, I thought it'd be 26. I really feel that 27, for whatever reason, is more romantic, but with my luck, I tend to just miss those sorts of things. And with that same luck, my 4Runner didn't. I wanted to see it make 1,000,000 miles, but providentially, it looks like 290,000 will have to do. September of 2022 was the last time I cried, but there's been a few momentary catalysts between then and now that have unsuccessfully prodded me to. Whether it was not getting into a transfer school that same year, standing alone at the summit of a cold Tennessee mountain one too many times in a row, sitting in silence with hurting children in the sympathetic Hawaiian sun, saying goodbye to friends become family across the country, or cleaning out my 4Runner one last time before sending it off to an insurance auction. There's a deep, empty feeling below my chest that vainly asks for tears but makes me want to drive. Now, there's no tears and nothing to drive. Just a Japanese vehicle I've sentimentally idealized, dramatized, and romanticized into something more than it really is. It's something that will always be in my mind. It had the worst of me, and in return, I had the best of it. I guess that when you put your soul into something, you don't always get it back. I'll willingly lose that piece for that car, though. And it's childlike, but I love the thing. I'm going to miss having it around. I'll take what I can out. The smoky plush, the Polaroids, the boxing gloves, and the random little notes and gift cards can go with me, maybe even what's next. But I'll let it keep the time it took, and the miles it had, maybe even the stickers on the window. I'll find something else to get me to California, something else to sleep in on the way. While I lie in the back of that car at night, there'll be something in the back of my mind of time and distance and stories all had in a silver '08 4Runner, and the little pretty places we saw on the way.
Someday, make it there, I swear to that place that haunts my dreams at night. Singing heavenly highway hymns all the way up to that beautiful old countryside. Someday,